Yes, good morning to you all. Good morning. Okay. Are you able to hear me? Is my voice audible? All right. From BHU, good morning. Banu, I think Banu Prakash, no. Okay, you can thumbs up if I am very audible. Okay. All right. Okay. Good morning. So I'm so glad let me try to use a headphone so that you can hear me properly. All right. I hope now it is much better. I hope now it is very much better. So, okay, let me try to help you to not be able to. Okay. All right. So I hope now you will be able to hear me without any interruption from the others who would be talking. For those who did assignment, you did a very good job. And for those who did not do it, like I did not receive Ajay's assignment. I think Vinay Kumar also I did not receive. For those who did not do assignment, I think I will give you some work which is more than assignment. And before we continue from where we have left from the previous class, let us bow down our head as we pray. Father who is in heaven, we thank you because you gave us a gift of life. I submit my student in your able hand. Give them wisdom, give them knowledge, give them a heart to love each other and to love their families. Bless their family members. Be with them in the name of Jesus Christ, we even pray. Amen. So today, as you have seen to the post, topic for today, we're going to discuss something which is known as the concept of C++. Let me try to bring my table as usual. So we are going to look today we are going to study something which is known as concept of OOPS. Let me say OOPS using C++. Okay, concept of OOP using C++. So in the full format, as all of you know, the OOP stand for object oriented programming language, right? object programming language. So in this object programming language, we are going to have the various concepts, okay? So when we say concept is also termed as a features, okay? As what? As a features. When we say a concept, we mean a feature, right? A feature. These features or the concept, sometimes you may be asked the question, describe or explain the concept or the features of OOPs using C++. I just want to tell you that C++, what I'm saying, C++, it is not a fully 100% object-oriented programming language. It is not full because some parts, some variables, they are not object. When we say oops, define oops, let me say define oop, define oop. When we want to define oop or object-oriented programming, object-oriented programming is a programming style, which is associated, okay, which is associated with the concept of class and object, all right, with a class and object. So when we want to define this, okay, this one is defined as what? This one is defined as what? Is defined as a concept or a programming language style, which is going to focus on what? On classes and object. So everything will be a class and object in order to have a programming language, which is fully object-oriented programming language. So C++, Java, they are not 100% object-oriented programming language. But now we have a programming language. Let me give you some example. Don't write down, I will erase. Example of programming language, which are example of fully OOPs. Now, the trend one in 2020, let me say in 2020, we have a program which is like, have you heard a programming called Scala? Okay, Scala. Scala is one of the programming language which is fully 100%. But C++, when we say C++, as well as Java, as well as Java, are not fully OOPs, but they have the concept, but they have almost the concept of OOPs, right? So this is one of the things which you have to understand as we are going to learn this class. I mean, as we're going to learn the concept of OOPs or object-oriented programming language. Next, the next thing is, what are the concepts? Okay, what are the concept of OOPs? Let me say OOPs and OOP, they're different. Have you seen when you are dealing with the online, for example, you are trying to access a website, and when the website is not accessed, they send the word oops. So oops is not object-oriented programming language. It's exclamation, right? But this oops is different from OOP, because OOP is not oops. We have only one OOP. which is object-oriented programming language. It's not OOPS, all right? So take this one. What are the concepts? What are going to be the concept? What are going to be the concept of this? The concept number one, we have class. Concept number two, we have object. Concept number three, we have encapsulation. Encapsulation or data encapsulation. Let me name it. Data encapsulation. Concept number four, we have data abstraction. Concept number five, we have inheritance. Concept number six, we have polymorphism. Poly what? Polymorphism. All right. So these are the concepts. These are the concepts. Let me name it here. Okay, these are the concept or the features of OOP using C++. Okay. Okay, these are the concepts which are going to see one by one. So now, when we say a class, let me start from number one. Okay. What is? Let me name number one. Number one class. Okay, number one class. When we say a class, what do we mean a class? When we say a class, I just want to give you an example. In this class, we are all, let me say, we have something which is known as, I don't know if this pen is clear. Okay. Let me give you an example. When we say human being. Somebody. Okay, somebody has said a correction of student, Serene Rose. She has mentioned a correction of student. I hope she want to mention, for example, for class. Okay, fine. Okay, let me take example for human being, right? Let me take example of a human being. When we talk of human being, the human being is divided into two, okay? Is divided into two. Number one, in human being, we have male, and we have one more human being, which is known as what? Which is known as female. So as you can see, female, let me write here. Sorry. We have a human being, let's say male, and we have one more human being, which is called female, all right? So as you can see, the human being is divided into two, the male and female. And this human being, when we say a human being, what do you mean? You mean that a human being is a class or something, a collection of different entities. When we say different entities, we may say variables or properties and a function to that one. All right, so coming to the next one, when you look to the all human being, let's say here we have a male. This is a male. I'm sorry, I'm not a good drawer. Okay, here we have a male, and here we have a female. Let me try to give a hairstyle which is nice. And these are the eyes, these are the lip, and these are the, this is the eye of my handsome boy, but he's not a body guy. It's not a body hair. Let's say he has this hairstyle. He has this hairstyle. And this lady of mine, let's me try to say that she wears a skirt. Don't know how to draw a skirt. Let's say, let's compare like this. All right. All right. Okay. As you can see, this is a human being, which is a male. This is also a human being, which is a what? Which is a female. Okay. So both they are human being. We cannot doubt both are a human being. But if you can see the male, this man, the male, this is a male. This is a male. This is a male guy. And as you can see, this is a female or a lady. Okay. So both male and female, let me try to combine. The male, both, what do they share? What these guys are sharing? Both of them, they have what? Both of them, they have body part. Let me say body parts. Okay, what are the body parts which they have? Eyes, they have nose, they have hands, they have legs, they have hearts because they can love, they can do everything. Both of them, they have a liver. Okay, both of them, what do they have? They have a head, any, etc. You can name. These are the body parts which a human being share, which they have into common, right? And what are the work of these body parts? What are the works of these body parts? What will be the work of these body parts? What is going to be the work of this body part? When you look to the hand, to the eyes, what eyes can do? All these body parts, let me try to, these body parts, what they can do? The body parts, they have something known as body function. Body what? Body function. All right? All right? This body function can do what? What leg can do? What eye can do? Eye can see. Eyes can see. Okay? What about nose? Nose can smell. Okay? What about hands? What about hands? Hands can do what? Hands can touch. Okay? What about legs? Legs can walk. Now, what about heart? Heart can do what? Heart can beat or pump. Let me say pump. Let me write like the pump. Okay? Which means that everybody, every human being is a class. But class is divided into something known as subclasses. So these subclasses, they have properties. They have what? Properties. The property which we do have, we may call them like body parts. Okay? And every body part, every property has a function to be used for. Has a function to be used for. So as you can see now, as you can see to this example, you may define a class. If somebody say define a class, what is a class? How can we define a class? A class is a blueprint of any entity. Any what? Entity. For example, I may give you another example. Where you are, they are building a bridge. Okay, let me come to another perspective to understand this, a class in a good way. When we say a class is a blueprint, what do we mean a blueprint? A blueprint is what? When we say a blueprint is the original copy. It's original copy. Means there is a science, there is one department which called the Department of Architecture. Okay? In the Department of Architecture, what they do, they make plans. They make plans into papers, right? And this plan which they make into papers, the other engineers who build the houses, the bridges, they come and construct. So when we say a class is a blueprint, or it's a logical. When we say logic is what? Something which is in words or in writings. So is a blueprint, is the original copy of how things are going to look like. You may take a photo. When you show me my photo or your photo, it shows how you are, but the photo is not what? It's not original you. The original you is you who can perform the actions. So a class can be defined as what? A class can be defined as a blueprint of any entity. Okay? So when we say there's a blueprint of any entity, also we may define a class. Okay? You may define, or we may define a class as a template of object. A class is what? A class can be defined as class is a template of objects. Okay? Object is what? Object is a physical, yes, a physical, it's a physical entity, let me say call entity, a physical entity. For example, as I was telling you, when an architecture is designing a bridge on a paper, that is what? That is a class. That is a class, okay? That is a template or an example, original copy. When you see a bridge where cars are passing, is what? Is a physical entity. So a class is going to define, or is going to show how object will look like, all right? So a class is an instance of, again, we can say a class is an instance of object. Okay, a class is an instance of what? Sorry here. A class is an original copy of object. Okay, and then object is an instance of a class. All right. What is object? Object is an instance of a class. So which shows the exact copy or exact things which was in the mind. When we say logic, something which is in the mind, okay? When we say physical, something which we can touch, now it has become reality, all right? So these are the two, we have seen two. The previous one, what have we seen from the previous? We have seen a class. We have seen the class. What does it mean, a class? When you look to the human being, and again, when we define a class in a very proper manner, professional manner, you may say that a class is a group of properties and a function. Okay, let me try to define it here. A class is a collection of properties and what? And functions. Okay, a property, let me write it here. A property can be a data member. Okay, a data member. A function can be a what? A function members. So we shall learn class, as you all of you know, the class and object, we shall learn them in a second unit. Just here, write them as an example or as a definition to understand it better, how they're going to work. So the next we have the third point. The third one, we have something as known as inheritance. Okay, how do we define inheritance? Inheritance is a process of creating a new class from the existing class. Okay, we want to create a new class from existing class. Okay, a new class is known as child or a derived or a child or a sub class. Okay, an existing class is known as what? Is known as a parent. We are going to have a parent class, a parent, or what? Or a base class. Okay, base class, a base class. Let's come back to the example which we took, to the example which we had from the previous year. I'm not going to draw it again. Come back to this example. As we have seen here, the human being, when we say human being, may have the body function. We may have properties. So when we see male and a female, they don't need to have they don't need to have more body function, because the human being class contains that one, which means that every human being may possess this part, or may have this part, and may have this body part, eye, nose, hands, from the class called human being. So when this man, let's say this man is going to have another child. Let's say this man is going to have another child. Let's say he has a baby boy. Let's say he has a baby boy. Okay, so this is a baby boy. Let's say this is a baby boy. This baby boy is going to have the same part of the mother, the parts as well as the body. They are going to be combined to form what? To form or to be inherited to the baby boy. So when we say inheritance is having the same properties and the body function of the existing classes. Okay, why do we need inheritance? Let me come to the last stage where we were. Why do we need inheritance? Why inheritance? Why inheritance? Why do we need inheritance? Anybody in the class, you can send us a chat. Why do we need inheritance? What is the work of inheritance? What is the work of inheritance? Why do we need inheritance? In the chat, when we say inheritance, we need inheritance. Why? You can send a message, I will see. The reason why we need inheritance is to do what? We need inheritance to reduce the program size. Okay, the program size. For example, if you have defined a function, let's say in a class, let's say here we have here class, we have class A. In this class A, you have like 100 lines. Okay, so when we want to create a class B, for example, in a class B, this is an example, don't take it as a program. In a class B, instead of writing the same 100 lines, we are going to do what? We are going to pass the same properties into this class. It's going to be inherited. All right, so this is number 3, which is known as inheritance. And that is inheritance. And what do we mean data? What do we mean a data abstraction? A data what? A data abstraction. Number 4 or number 5? Let's say number 4. Data abstraction. A data abstraction. A data abstraction is defined as hiding the important features from outside views. Okay, if you remember from the previous class, you remember that we have seen in a C+, when we have the main function, let's say this is a main function, this is a main function. Let's say let this be void. Let this be void main function, okay? And we open curly bracket and we close them. If you define, let's say here, let's be int age, okay? When we declare this int age here, semicolon, what is going to happen to this int age? This is known as global variable. So this global variable can be accessed anywhere because of what? This is a public, okay? It became a public access. Let me call public access. Public access. So in C++ or procedure languages, in the procedure languages, there is no private. Security is very less. So to avoid this one, we have to hide these things into something known as private, or we can hide this in something called as protected, okay? Protected access specifier. We shall see this into the classes. Protected access specifiers. So when we write private or protected access specifiers to this variable called, to this variable here, okay? When we write them as a protected, then they cannot be accessed anywhere in the program. They cannot be accessed anywhere in a program. This is known as what? As a data abstraction, okay? Data abstraction. Number 4, number 5, let's say number 6, data encapsulation. What do we mean a data encapsulation? To encapsulate data encapsulation, grouping, let me say grouping together what? The properties and function into a single unit. What is a property? When you remember, when we say properties and when we say a function, okay? A property can be what? What is a property? When we say property, a property can be data members, okay? And a function can be what? When we say function can be what? Function can be function members, okay? So in a data encapsulation, in a few words, example of data encapsulation, let me write it here. Example of data encapsulation. Example of data encapsulation, we have a class, okay? Why? Because a class combine, as you can see, when we say the word a class, when we say class, okay, class combine what? Class combine data member, class combine data members or variables, and class also combine what? Combines together something known as function. Function or method or what? Data or function member or function members. All right? Is it clear now? Is it clear so far? So when we say data encapsulation, I hope you understand data encapsulation. When we say a data encapsulation, this data encapsulation is a grouping together the properties and function into a single unit, okay, which is known as class, which is known as a class. Properties can be data members. I have given a property of, for example, my hand is a property. Punching is an action, which is a function, all right? So the last point is going to be polymorphism. Polymorphism, okay? When we say polymorphism, we mean what? When we say polymorphism means having more than one form. Okay, having more than one form. Poly means many. Let me write it here. Poly means many, and then morphism means forms. Okay, forms. So we want to have many forms. For example, see my hand. Let me give you an example. Let's take an example. Look here. These are the legs. My pen is not writing. Look here. These are the legs. This is my leg. Okay, take this as my leg. And this is my hand. Let's say, I don't know how to draw. Okay, let me try to draw a hand. Okay, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay, this is my hand. All right, this is my hand. Okay, as you can see, we use legs. Yeah, legs are used to walk. To do what? To walk. Okay, to walk. But what will happen if I use legs? For example, I'm going to take again this leg. Okay, I'm going to use this leg, the same leg. I'm going to use a leg to pick a pen. Use a leg to pick a pen. Okay, use a leg. Use a leg to pick a pen. Is it possible? Yes, to pick a pen. Okay, see, normally the leg is used to walk, but when a pen falls down, you may use a leg to pick it, or you may use a hand to pick what? A pen. Again, to understand this, having many forms, let's say in this arm, okay, arms is used to hold, okay, to hold. Or arm can be used to, this arm can be used to walking. Have you seen people walking with the legs, with the arms, right? With the hands. So having one form, but perform different action. Okay, polymorphism means having more than one form or performing more than one action. You understand? So as this time is expiring, we are going to join again for the next. Kindly join it as soon as possible.